feel free to use the chat function through there. But I think we might get underway. So joining us from lockdown is Phillip Johnson down there. He's going to take us through, obviously, through the beautiful Best in Show garden and plans for its future. So what I'll do is I'll jump off and pass over to you, Phillip, if you're right.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you heaps, Matt. This is really quite surreal, I must admit. This is the first time I've done this before. And be with me. My boys are just finishing dinner. They might jump in and say g'day. And this is their one spare bedroom. So one of my boys have had to move out of here. So this is my new makeshift design studio. So and it's working really well. So lovely to have you all here. I can't thank you enough for coming. It's wonderful opportunity for me to share this new exciting vision. I think as we all would recall, 7 years ago, yes, 7 years ago, it's a long time, I tell you. I think a few people know me. I don't give up. 7 years ago, with Wes Fleming, myself, I was the designer. My company ran the build. And it was the first time Australia to ever win gold and Best in Show at the Chelsea Flower Show. And that was the centenary year too. And it was a unanimous decision. That's never been done in the history of at the RHS, Chelsea Flower Show. And I think this is why I want to try to get you all behind the support of making this garden happen, because this garden is history making. As Angus Stewart said to me a couple of weeks ago, he said, what we did here for Australian horticulture, for Australian plants, has never been done in the world. So it's an awesome project, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the background, refresh your memories of the garden many years ago, the background. So I took 2 years out of my business to make this project happen. It was the finale of Fleming's going to Chelsea. This is Leanne, and my background is horticulture. So I studied at Burnley. I love plants. Plants is everything, and I love especially Australian plants and Australian gardens. So we travelled around trying to find plants. I could only find, I had my original plant palette of about 170 different species. I could only find 5 in propagation: bottle trees, grass trees. So I had to work backwards. And this is the journey of Chelsea, and this is the amazing detail that happens at Chelsea. Background of plants I found on that journey. Like, look at these blue gums, 11,000 euro a tree. We didn't use these, they were way too expensive. Grass trees, bottle trees. In that grass tree on the left still had its tag on, and it was in flower on the day at Chelsea. I don't know how that happened. It was amazing little kind of sign there. So just reliving the journey that we were on. It was 17-day build, 2 years of planning, 17-hour days. It was intense. Building a billabong on the edge of the Thames, basically. The Thames are behind that container, and we're building on an embankment, so quite a steep site and quite a challenging site. Rubber membranes going, placing the first rock. Foxtel followed this. I'm sure some of you maybe seen a documentary that was produced. It took 5 hours to place this one piece of stone. It had to be absolutely perfect. Tree ferns craning in. Amazing surreal, big rocks going down on top, local rocks from a local quarry that we reused, and we strategically positioned it, and it was quite intense. Getting the waterfalls right, getting the plants as we're building as well. The sound of water, it had to be perfect. It had to be not overpowering. I had never built and ran water over this before. We did a mock build in Scotland once before, but this, we were able to adjust each waterfall, because when Her Majesty came, I didn't want it to be unpleasing. I didn't want it to go, oh, this is just awful, this sound. So we had to have the ability to slow it down so it's just a trickle if we required, and that's what we did. The bottle trees arrived from Sicily. I thought they'd been bonsai'd. Check this next plant out. One of my favourite snow gums, Eucalyptus pauciflora subspecies Du Boisvillei was used in the first Australian garden that Flemings took across, and now it's 11 metres in tall, multi-trunk. You can't find that. At Karanga, we're lucky to find a snow gum like this in an 8-inch pot or 10-inch pot. And that's just how incredible horticulture is over in the UK. And this is why, as you know, why Wes always went over these to promote Australian horticulture. So coming towards the end, we were actually getting front page news of the London Times, and we were completely exhausted here, completely exhausted. And then out of the blue, this remarkable man came and introduced himself. He said, "Don't call me Prince Harry, call me Harry." Not many Aussies can say, "Hey mate, if you're going to come up into the studio, you're going to have to take your shoes off." Wes and I told him to. He's got purple socks on. And this studio was designed at the Queen's eye height. So at 5'3", which Harry tested, he told Grandma about this. At 5'3", Her Majesty stood in the centre. All these timber petals would completely disappear and you'd see the whole landscape. And that's the kind of beauty and detail I'm bringing back to this garden here in Australia. Harry also introduced himself to all the volunteers, shook their hands. He spent 40 minutes. He said if there was a rope swing, he would have jumped in the billabong. So I've got a bit of a goal. I would love, hopefully, one of these royals to come and open this garden one day. We are in discussions informing the royal family about this project as well. So about 5 days before completion, the BBC, Alan Titchmarsh, came and stopped outside. Said, "Tools down. This is the first garden ever built at Chelsea on the rock embankment. Check the detail, check the OHS, check the sleds. Look at the barrow movement. Far right, you can see myself, Wes, my site managers in here moving around rock. And Alan Titchmarsh said to me, "This is just awesome. It is fantastic to finally see rock back on Main Avenue." He used our rocks the following year as well. And 100 years later, on that same parcel, we had the opportunity to represent this country. It was an absolute honour. So from this white van to the white bus, 2 years of planning, 17 days build, 17-hour overnights sometimes, an incredible team of volunteers. We created this awesome Australian garden, capturing the essence of different areas around this incredible country, having rhodanthe, having xanthary, glauca in flower, having having tree ferns, some rare endangered tree ferns that were used over there that we found on certain angles. So it mimicked how it should grow up out like in nature. Out of that rocky gorge, had solar power, powering the site, powering the build process, same vision, same philosophy I'm adopting to the recreation. And so, hopefully this works to remind you.
The studio that presides over the garden is Phillip himself. You may not get him straight away, but when you do, you can't help but be impressed. It's bold, it's fascinating, and it's the central piece to the garden. I love the way the timber structures of the boardwalk and sunset platform link the spaces together, making it so much more than just a watery hole in the ground. Then there's the waterfalls, cascading over hundreds of tons of stone, each meticulously placed to a level of detail that most of us could only dream about. This level of detail permeates through the garden from the top of the studio down to every last plant in the ground. The garden is so much more than the sum of its parts, and I'm so pleased the British can now understand how great an Australian garden can be.
Graham Ross arrived the day before, and he was on the side just overlooking the studio through some snow gums. And he was in tears. He just couldn't believe it. He'd been going to Chelsea over 20 or 26 years or plus Hopefully I'm right there. And he'd never seen anything quite like this. It absolutely blew him away. He said, "You're just doing Australia proud, promoting Australian horticulture on the world stage." And he interviewed me last week on radio. He's written to Prince Charles, informing him about this garden, and he's a big driver that this garden needs to be recreated back in Australia. So, you know this lady. Do you hear what's in the background? Some of you might know this story, but I had to get permission to play frogs, by the way, over there. I got down on my knee and Her Majesty said, "What's the story of these frogs I hear in the background?" I said, "Your Majesty, one late night in my garden, I was recording the sounds of the frogs because that's a byproduct of creating a healthy, sustainable landscape. Frogs come." And she said, "Oh, you sound like a dear friend of mine, Sir David Attenborough." And I went, "Oh my God, that's an incredible honour." Then the next thing was just such an incredible moment. I've changed it a little bit. The next thing, we were told, don't encourage Her Majesty to walk up into the garden. I can't say exactly what happened, but so she walks up into the garden. And the lady behind Her Majesty steps in and says, "Your Majesty, you can't enter this garden." And she turned around and said along the lines, "Don't you tell me what to do. I can't see this garden and I want to see this garden." And there I had the most amazing 4.5 minutes talking to Her Majesty. I think it's probably the best fight I've ever had in the world. And there, at that one point, I said to Your Majesty, "I have designed this landscape to connect humanity back to the beauty of nature, of how in an urban environment we are becoming so disconnected to nature." And that point really, this point in time with what I'm going here in Melbourne, with what a lot of people around this country, around the world, don't have the ability to connect to a garden. Not everyone has the ability to see a beautiful garden or go to a beautiful national park. And that's where it's so important, creating beauty. The next day, it opened to the public. It was extraordinary. But most of all was the next result that occurred. And hopefully this works. Not too glitchy.
Sarah, come here.
Sorry guys, just 1 minute. Can I just take for 1 more minute?
Yep, no.
Joe needs to see you both in the RHA.
Yep. There you go. I didn't get a trophy. I got a little bit of core flu. It was the most amazing moment, I tell you. I just could not believe it. Aussies came running up, grabbing targets. We just opened the gates and just ran to you. We was just so overwhelmed and so proud of Australians with what we've achieved. Angus Stewart, just awesome support for this project as well. And he's also got a rare collection of kangaroo paws he wants to add into this garden as well. So the judges pulled me aside just at the end of the show and said, "Philip, I just want to share with you. When we walked into your garden, within 5 minutes, all the judges, normally it takes 2 days to decide it's best in show, and mediators and advisors, and it was within 5 minutes that all judges said best in show, and that's never been achieved. And I reckon that's a pretty awesome thing for us Aussies to achieve. So 7 years, yes, it's taken a while, I tell you, 7 years. And I've just tried so many different locations to rebuild and recreate this garden. I've had meetings with the government. I've had meetings overseas in the UK. It was going to be in a park. And all the way along, the way it stopped not being recreated, it was actually, who's going to maintain this? Who's going to cover this garden to be created? And I didn't realise that that was blocking it all the time, blocking it. And then I had a brainwave to make contact to our local MP up in the Yarra Valley in the hills, and James Molino, who's the Deputy Premier of Victoria. And I met with him and I shared, I've just tried everywhere. I've got a possible opportunity in the UK to have this garden recreated, but I want to bring it home. I want to bring it back home to where I'm from, where Flemings is from, and recreate this garden for future generations. And he said, well, who's going to maintain this thing? Same question. I went, whoa, okay. I will sign an MOU to maintain it myself, personally, my company, for the next 10-year period. Bingo. The project had legs, and we've done that since. And so this is our site. So our site is the Old Rhododendron Gardens. About 3 years ago, the old Linda golf course was cut up, and 5 hectares was given to the Rhododendron Gardens. And there at that time, they changed the name to the Dandenong Ranges Botanic Gardens. What's exciting about this project is actually it diversifies the Rhododendron Gardens. It brings people up at a different time of the year. Not that you see azaleas and rhododendrons, actually to see what I'm about to show you. So 7 years, and it's taken amazing support to come up with this vision. So we still have the elements of the original garden, the Waratah studio, the billabong, the sunset platform, solar power powering the site, a beautiful path network that allows easy mobility, all DDA compliance, wheelchair mobility, prams, seating, and it's just this really incredibly beautiful Australian garden showcasing these amazing plants from our country. So the Kookaburra looks down to this. It's 20 times the area of my original garden. So it's not just dropping in a rectangle garden. It's actually about the size of a squash court. It's actually designing it to fit around the existing vegetation, as you can see. It's north facing. I've got the most incredible microclimates. North facing for the Dandenongs is quite unheard of. But you can see this gorge I'm building here, kind of mimicking what I originally created over in the UK. It's to grow the interesting trees up in the hills, the Cyathea cunninghamiae, slender tree ferns, rare and extinct, the Cyathea australis, Dixonias, and having all these beautiful kind of plants emerging out of that gorge as well. And then this garden will extend in future stages to other gardens, other areas of this botanic gardens. And I've designed this to connect up to maybe future entries and up to other areas. I've even designed this to have access for helicopter water bombers to come and suck water out of the billabong. So it's going to have the elements of the original garden, as you saw before. The materials, the quality, the attention to detail, the craftsmanship of stonemasonry, permeable surface where possible, reclaim materials where possible. Also, they said, where's the water coming from? And we're going to harness the water off the rooftop of surrounding buildings up at the administration and overflow of rainwater tanks to sustain the site. And this is some projects I've been building since working and just showcasing how incredible the plants from our country are, and behind these incredible plants. So you through here the existing garden. And it's designed avoiding disturbance to tree protections of all existing Eucalyptus regnans, mountain ash. So you're coming down through this way to this beautiful circular viewing area with seating on the side and information about the success of this garden, the success of the journey of the 9 years of Australian Gardens going to Chelsea. You move your way down, awesome kind of rock work, rock retaining to flat areas to grow these beautiful, deep planted native garden beds. Through to the sunset platform from this awesome native garden. And then this garden also at the back here, with discussions with the Friends of the Rhododendron Gardens. And there's a very rare and endangered collection of rhododendrons from North Queensland and top of New South Wales, which like a ridge line. So this is also, I've designed this backdrop to allow future possible stages as well of connectivity into the design. Come around, you come out, and then this links up to potentially future stages. Few dimensions, over 100 meters in width, plus another 40 meters, about 50 meters, 50, 60 meters in length. And as I mentioned, it's 20 times the area of my original garden. And it has over 1 million litres of water that allows us to supply water for CFA, so a fire authority, access points. But also we've had incredible support. Diana Snape, and I know quite a lot of you would have read her incredible Australian garden books. Her dream was this garden to be recreated too. And she was just on my back trying to get a location, trying to get philanthropic support. As you see down here, People and Parks Foundation. So now we've actually obtained tax deductible status, and unfortunately she's not with us anymore, but I did meet with Brian at the start of this year, and he's contributed a significant donation to activate the growing of these plants. But one of his prerequisites was to have a fire system. So sensors trigger a fire system off this body of water, so the whole surrounding landscape is immersed in water as well, and it drains back into it as well. So really amazing journey so far. Just to show you a bit of detail of a kind of a section cutting down through this way. So this was an old golf course. I think it was number 6 golf tee. This is where the golf tee was, where the body of water is. And we are doing some substantial earthworks cutting into this side here to get this awesome north-facing microclimate with rocky rubble mulch to give good temperature. And then we will be also with that excavated material, because we don't want to bring much material in. We want to reuse as much as possible. We will be building the backdrop of the gorge, allowing growing conditions for Willamette pines. Willamette pines grow so well up there in my office. When I go back to my design studio, I've been told there's some cones developing already, which I can't wait to see, I tell you. And then as a plantsman, as a lover of Australian plants, I have a plant palette of over 426 different species of plants from this incredible country. There are quite a lot you'll look at and go, whoa, how are you going to grow that? Good luck. Yes, quite a lot. I push boundaries. As a good old Costa awarded myself the Australian Horticulture of the Year award last year in WA. And that's the thing. We've got to push boundaries with how plant material from Australia can be used to showcase how wonderfully beautiful these plants are. A lot of grafted, unique things as well. As I said, different microclimates. We've got red soil, so it's slightly on acid, but a percolation test, you pour water in a hole, it disappears. So it's extremely well drained as well. And then we've been working closely with the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne and Cranbourne, and John Arnott there, he's got a range of collection of rare and endangered plants from Victoria. There could be potentially other ones that we can install and plant within this garden as well. So, and as well as a lot of underwater plants, a lot of underwater interesting plants. My boys want an underwater viewing platform. It's one of their dreams. They keep saying, have you done a viewing platform yet? No, maybe not. We'll see. And a lot of indigenous aquatic plants. The majority of the aquatic plants are locally indigenous as well. So the next I'm going to share is a fly through. Some of you might have seen this. We had the most incredible feature. I tell you, we actually had page 2 and 3 of the Saturday Age a week ago. And people were able to click this link online as well. So this is what I've been working on for the last 12 months. It's been an absolute pleasure to share my vision of this incredibly challenging build, I tell you. You're probably wondering a few components of costs and things. We believe this is a project of about 4.1 million build cost and design cost. We've currently got funds released from the Victorian government of $1 million. We are in discussions with federal government, and hopefully we have some positive movement there. And we've got philanthropic organisation support, as I mentioned. People and Parks on the left. People and Parks are an amazing philanthropic foundation that encourages people to connect with parks, gardens, nature, and the importance, as I said before, about what I said to the Queen. I said how we connect to nature. And from a mental health perspective, with what we're all going through, I want to tell you what I'm going through here in the Yarra Valley. We need a really energising environment, and that's what's fantastic to get. People and Parks, we have tax deductible status for this project, and we've already raised about $333,003, I think it is, to date, which is just awesome from Australia. And what's great about this project, it's actually bringing Chelsea back home. It's not, not everyone has the opportunity to go to London to see Chelsea. At the moment, I don't know when we will be able to. So it's an awesome opportunity to bring people to see a beautiful garden. And the last thing I want to mention is really that I need your support. I really need our horticultural media industry to get behind this, please. I have worked 7 years to get to this point, to have a site now, have all this design going through council, having the Philanthropic, so any businesses, horticultural businesses, Bunnings, Seasol originally supported this project, which is amazing, but I really need Australia to get behind this, and we need positive stories, I tell you, of what we've been going through, and it's great to share this story, yeah, it's been an honour, actually. Thanks.
Okay, I'm back in. Hopefully you can all hear me. Coming in. There we go. Thank you very much, Philip, for taking us through that. And,
all right.
I'm sure everyone now, I should explain, I did pop it in the chat now. Some great videos through there, the flyovers, etc. We will be sharing the links, and one of those links was shared anyway. If it wasn't playing as smoothly as it possibly could, subject to technology, we'll have the information through there as well. So I was just going to see if anyone had any particular messages through, so I can see some coming through in the chat. So from various people. So let me just see what we've got coming through here. So everyone loving the presentation. Jennifer Stackhouse and Rebecca Mumford from South Australia.
Thanks, guys.
So again, she's saying that she'd love to promote and put some message out there. And obviously, there's no better time than currently. The importance of public parks, green space, and that mental health and well-being side of things is very, very important. Yeah. So we will be sharing at the conclusion of this for HMA members anyway, all the details to who to contact. And there's going to be we've got some great imagery as well already today, so we can connect people up. So if anyone's looking to do their podcast, articles, etc., spreading the word, and then so for the fundraising side though, that is going back to People in Parks. Is that the best way? That's the fundraising channel.
Yeah, best fundraisers through People in Parks, but any kind of information, come to us, come to my office. Myself, Tracy, will put that in the email. Even phone calls up online, guys. From I'd love to just get your support, and also you'll be able to watch this garden from your home. It's going to have webcams, and I've been looking at webcams at the moment too. So we haven't been going far. So it's actually going to use technology in quite an innovative way for learning as well.
That'd be great. Loads of live streaming through there. Jennifer's asked, can we put the seminar on the HMAA website? It will be going up there live, so we're going to actually just, apart from the very beginning where we're just welcoming people as they came across, we'll be doing that as well. And we're going to email it out as an e-news with some of those images, as well as the links to those flyovers and other information through there. Facebook through there. I'm just seeing if there's anything popping up, 1,000 steps from the garden. So some ideas for some additional fundraising through there as well. So everyone, definitely, you'll have all the information, you'll have all the contacts of how to get in contact with Phillip for other bits and pieces, imagery, but obviously that advocacy of making this a reality in being recreated in Victoria is the main go-to. So in terms of the timeline, what's the overall timeline in the?
Okay, so we're currently going through planning at the moment. So all the design work's developed. My dream is to start building soon. Christmas, summer. We can only build in the hills in summer. It'd be wonderful. We need, as I said, we need something really positive to look forward to. I don't know how far we'll be all traveling at the moment. So it's a beautiful thing. Come to Mifkas, come to there. Come to there, come to Mifkas, come to there, go to the Yarra Valley. And also diversifies the Dandenongs, because the Dandenongs, a lot of people And this is what I was saying the other day, is what's beautiful about the Dandenongs. Amazing gardens were created 130 years ago. Cloud Hill since, but not many recently. And this is what's exciting, to kind of bring people up to see the hills in a different way, to get inspired. We've got great support from universities, letters of support from Melbourne Uni, local TAFEs, training facilities. Our Deputy Premier, who's been driving this, our local MP, he's the educational minister, so he just went bing. So I presented a couple of weeks ago to him, and he said, "This is just awesome. I'm going to put the educational hat on. We can do this, this, and this," which is great. And we might be able to do it remotely too. There's all these different ways of exploring it, but nothing better than touching a plant and connecting, I tell you.
Exactly, and that breadth of plant palette, which it looks amazing. You know, all the how many 400 and something?
426. Yes, we're going to push boundaries there. Yeah, just a few, but we've got very unique microclimates. That's what's lovely about this. It's just really kind of strange for up in the hills, I tell you.
Yeah, no, just keeping my corner eye on the chat through there. So everyone's saying thank you, obviously, for a great presentation through there. And a reminder for those who have joined us, and perhaps your colleagues haven't, we will be sharing out, but let them know, you know, to jump in on it, and they can get the recap. I've recorded this, so they can go and check that out, or otherwise we'll also be sending this out as well as with the flyovers and just some other links through there as well. So thank you very much, Philip, through there. I'll just see, I'm just hopefully I'm not missing anyone's particular questions through there, which is good, but you'll have all the details coming through in an e-news, and it's been great connecting through this way. And we will be looking through running a whole lot of different webinars, and, you know, connecting with everyone, especially with, you know, from New South Wales, we had a meeting across, and really feeling for our Victorian friends down south, you know, in some of the lockdown restrictions that are applying to you. Also, we're going to also look at doing some get-togethers. So just coming online and having a chat. So if anyone's got any news updates and things like that, we'll be able to share those into the future as well. Because how have you been finding it, Philip? Down, you know, obviously
this is my welcome to my design studio for the last 7 months. My wife and I, we've been doing homeschooling for the last 22 weeks. School holidays tomorrow, too. That's pretty good. But on a serious note, for our construction, we can't build at the moment in stage 4. So, and it's looking like it could still be to the end of October that we're allowed to go back to a construction site. We can work if someone's not there. We're allowed to, but so it's pretty challenging. We can't maintain at the moment. Grass is growing crazy down here, I tell you. So it's let's just pray things will change, or restrictions are eased soon, and we can get back to it. But a lot of people are interested in design, so that's great for I've spoken to lots of designers, so a lot of people are getting phone calls. People are looking at their garden going, wow, I don't need to travel now. Let's invest in the garden, invest in horticulture. And that's the thing, guys. That's why I need this support. And I'm going to say, please, there's original Chelsea, I had to find close to $1 million of funds. And I didn't get paid a cent for that project. And that's why we've got to get behind this. I'm not trying to sound like a salesman, but we need to bring this home. And it's a great story. It's a great Australian story. And if it was in the UK, it would have been built within 6 months. That's the problem. And we need this to happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. So everyone that's on board, and we'll encourage everyone walk wider from this. We're going to share it out on the social media side of things as well. But if we can get everyone to get behind it, try and get this garden built, and hopefully we'll be wandering around at Chelsea in our own backyard, which would be amazing. Not only at Chelsea, the best. The top of the top. So that's what we're looking for through there.
And I want to bring it home. I want to bring it home for us all. Yeah. And complete the full cycle too. Bring it back to Australia. Not in the container.
That's great. Well, thank you everyone for coming in, jumping us. I'm just seeing Philip, I like some images to put on Instagram. So Kim will be sending you all the details of bits and pieces, imagery and the video links and things like that. So share the message far and wide, and also details on how we can best support it and the ways to channel people through for any of those financial needs. But thank you so much, Philip, for coming and joining us. Hopefully for everyone, you had a pretty smooth sailing the viewing through this afternoon. We're going to have also this recorded, so if it was a bit jittery for whatever reason in your area, hopefully it'll come through a bit smoother, or otherwise you'll be able to watch the other videos as well. So thanks all for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you, Philip.
Yeah, see you later, everyone. Thanks.
Cheers.